My name is Betty, and for years my world had been the endless corridors and bustling terminals of the airport. I thought I knew every secret, every hidden corner where lost items and forgotten stories gathered dust as I ran my mop through the gigantic international airport, but nothing could have prepared me for the mystery that began to unfold one quiet night shift. It started with a note, tucked beneath a bench in Terminal B. Written in a hurried scrawl, it read, "They never landed because they never left." It was nonsensical, yet something about it unnerved me. I pocketed the note, telling myself that it was just a prank, but curiosity had already taken root in my mind. Over the following weeks, more notes appeared, each more perplexing than the last. "Flight 440 is a lie," one declared, hidden inside a restroom stall. Another, found beneath a tray table in the food court, warned, "Beware the ghost gates." These messages, scattered like breadcrumbs throughout the airport, hinted at something beyond the edges of my understanding. Driven by a need to make sense of these cryptic warnings and a lot of boredom at my job, I began to piece together a timeline, cross-referencing the notes with old flight schedules and airport records that I could find online. Flight 440, as it turned out, was a flight that had mysteriously vanished from schedules years ago. A flight the airport administration and operator claimed had been canceled permanently due to operational issues. Then, one night, as I was cleaning an old storage closet for supplies, I stumbled upon a sealed box labeled Flight 440. My heart raced as I cut through the tape, revealing a trove of personal effects. Watches, wallets, even children's toys. It was as if the passengers had simply vanished, leaving everything behind. I decided to confront Jerry, the night shift manager, someone who had been at the airport as long as I had, if not longer. "Jerry, have you ever heard about Flight 440? I asked him one night, trying to sound casual. Jerry's face went pale, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by a tight-lipped tension. "Betty, some stones are better left unturned," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "Trust me, you don't want to dig into the past." But his warning only fueled my determination. I knew then that there was truth to be found, buried deep beneath layers of secrecy and fear. The notes were not mere pranks. They were desperate messages. My investigation led me to a retired pilot, Captain Harris, who had supposedly flown the last known flight of 440. He met me at a rundown bar near the airport, a shell of a man he once was, haunted by memories he couldn't escape. "Captain Harris, I need to know about Flight 440. I said, quick to cut through the pleasantries. "What happened to it?" He looked at me, his eyes clouded with grief and something darker, a burden too heavy for one soul to bear. After a long pause, he spoke, his voice a hoarse whisper. "I never flew Flight 440. I was told to be quiet when I started poking and soon declared unfit to fly. I did my own digging, but someone attempted to kill my daughter and I had to stop. All that I know is that it was hidden, blocked away in a hangar that you won't find on any map. The passengers, they became part of something terrible." His words sent shivers down my spine, a confirmation of my worst fears. But I had so many questions. I realized I was uncovering a conspiracy that went beyond anything I had imagined. The deeper I dug, the more the airport felt like a facade, a stage set up for a play where the actors didn't know the script. The notes continued to appear, the latest one saying Hangar 13 doesn't exist. I couldn't escape the feeling that someone was watching me, guiding my steps. But who? Determined to find the truth, I decided to take a risk. Late one night, I made my way to the hangar area after stealing a pass of a colleague who did day shift there. Now, the blueprints didn't show a Hangar 13, which I thought was a superstitious numbering issue, but before my eyes, I saw the massive structure. As I approached, the air felt charged, the silence oppressive. The hangar, dilapidated and seemingly abandoned, loomed over me like a tomb far away from the main airport. I unlocked the door, my hands trembling, and stepped inside. What I found was beyond comprehension. The hangar was filled with items from Flight 440, seats arranged in eerie rows, luggage stacked neatly at one end, and at the center of it was a cockpit simulator, surrounded by monitors displaying looping footage of a flight taking off but never landing. I heard footsteps and turned to see Jerry standing at the hangar entrance, his expression one of resigned sorrow. "I knew you'd find your way here," he said, his voice heavy. "You always were too curious for your own good." "Jerry, what is this place? What happened to Flight 440? I demanded, my voice echoing in the vast emptiness of the hangar. He sighed, a deep soul-weary sound. Flight 440 was a government experiment, Betty. An experiment in fear and human psychology. The passengers were subjects, unknowing participants in a study on the effects of perpetual flight, of a journey with no destination. I felt my stomach churn, the horror of his words sinking in. But why? How could anyone do something so monstrous? Cold War made us do things. It was supposed to be a breakthrough in understanding fear and its impact on the human psyche, Jerry explained, his eyes hollow. But it went too far. The project was shut down, the flight erased from records. Only a few of us know the truth. And the passengers? I whispered, afraid of the answer. Lost to a nightmare of our making. Glad you found the truth. If only a janitor could break the news and bring an end to this cycle. The weight of the revelation crushed me. The notes, the hidden messages. It was Jerry who was behind everything from the start, who couldn't risk his life, but through an unassuming janitor he could finally bring this story to light. In the following weeks, the scandal broke. Investigations were launched, careers ruined, and the government pinned the blame on the airport's administration. Hangar 13 was exposed. It eventually came out that a few passengers of the original Flight 440 were still alive, mentally gone, declared missing from their families, but kept alive. They were brought to the simulation from time to time as a few twisted scientists still studied them. The only good thing that came out of it was that the families who had lost their loved ones decades ago finally got to meet them. Even though their brains were fried, as one of the newspapers reported it, at least the families could finally get answers to their miseries. Jerry was arrested as well. I was called to his hearing, and even though I convinced the world how without him the entire conspiracy couldn't be revealed, the government threw him under the bus. It hurt me that some of the sick minds who had started the experiment got away with less time due to their old age and connections as they kept their mouths shut and saved the masterminds. But Jerry, the poor man, was sentenced for life. It says a lot about the fractured world we live in, I guess.